Back to the big story on Varney and Company, a national freeze on foreclosures. Fox News legal analyst Bob Massi live with us from Foreclosure Central, otherwise known as Las Vegas. Bob, welcome back to the program.
Morning,
always good to have you, sir. Let me give you my opinion.
Thank you.
Regardless of whether the politicians call for a national foreclosure freeze, regardless of whether the 40 state attorneys general having a probe get a freeze, I think the freeze rolls out because it's lawsuit driven on an individual basis, and this is just there is a de facto freeze in place. Now, what do you say? You're the legal analyst.
Well, great day for lawyers, I'm going to tell you that right now, because there's going to be lawsuits all over the place on this. The effect, yes, number one, I agree with you. I think it's going to have to happen. My concern, Stuart, is these lenders are policing themselves, even on the review of the foreclosure process. And essentially, many of them knew that this was happening, just that they got caught. This is a result of lawsuits that have been filed in judicial foreclosure states, that meaning where a judge is forced to basically validate a foreclosure. But with Bank of America going 50 states, for example, the state of Nevada, which is a non-judicial foreclosure, meaning you don't need the courts to do it, that is a big story because now it's affected everyone all over the country with B of A.
Now, do you think that that will encourage people? Let's suppose I've got a mortgage. I'm from Bank of America. Okay. I live in Nevada, and I'm underwater. I mean, a lot of people in Nevada are underwater. Won't this encourage me to just quit paying the mortgage, whether I can afford it or not? Because you're not going to foreclose on me, and I'm going to stay in that house for an extra 6 months, maybe a year.
Well, give you an impression of something. In the state of Nevada, we have 50,000 what we call shadow inventory homes, and that basically means those that are owned by lenders in loan modifications or in foreclosures. The bottom line is the fact that some people, and we don't want to I want the viewers to understand that even though this process is going on, it doesn't mean that you sort of get your home for free no matter what. They're going to correct this problem. Can it promote people to then go into foreclosure mode? Most of those people are still cognizant of the FICO issue. So I'm not sure that's going to happen because there's a percentage of people up there that still feel, you know what, no matter what the value is, I'm going to keep my home just because. So what the net effect's going to be, I think it's going to depend, Stuart, on how long this freeze goes on, how long it takes them to fix the problem. Then I think we'll get the true picture of what's going to happen here with those who are current.
You're on the legal side of things, Bob. You tell me. How long do you think this freeze will happen? I'm hearing an extra year in the foreclosure process. What do you hear?
Yeah, I think everything's coming to a freeze. I mean, I think it gives leverage to the homeowners because now the lenders, for the first time, the pendulum is now swinging in favor of the homeowner, only in that, here's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to force these lenders to go to a real modification program that works. It's going to force the lenders to maybe go to a legitimate short sale where they start waiving the deficiencies because these lenders cannot maintain these properties and the cost of them. And I think it's going to force them potentially, I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but I really believe that it will, to a principal reduction concept because the cost of what this is going to be in the lawsuits coming, it's going to basically force their hand. I do believe you're going to see that happen.
Bob, that is very interesting. That is the key point. You think that it will force, because the lenders are backed into a corner here, this will finally force the lenders maybe into a reduction of principal arrangement across the board. Now, that is fascinating because that would be a huge development.
It would be a huge development, and Bank of America came out in May, you may remember, with this principal reduction program that didn't really work. It was more of a PR move. But I have to believe at some point, if they want to get this economy moving in the real estate market, people are saying, Bob, why is it that they'll short sell a property and give a present value, but they won't give it to the homeowners? So, for example, Bank of America now is leasing back properties to the homeowner. They weren't doing that a year ago, and they said a year ago they would never do that. They're actually letting homeowners stay in their home after foreclosure to maintain the property. Why? Because they don't want the cost of liability insurance. They don't want the cost of HOA. They don't want these other costs. So as a result, they're changing. I believe ultimately that these lenders are going to do their counting of numbers, and they're going to say we're going to have to work something on a principal reduction in order to get this property moving, because otherwise it's going to become even worse. Remember, Stuart, we have about another 10 to 15 million loans it's going to adjust in the next couple years.
And let's not forget that. Bob Massi, fascinating stuff. Thanks for joining us from Vegas today. Thank you, Bob.
My pleasure, Stuart. Best to all, please.
All right, we're going to get more from California, the California perspective, actually, on the foreclosure freeze.